Melrose Park to the trading floor of the Merc. He's fought for every dollar he's ever earned. And now, with personal liberty and our system of capitalism under assault in America, he's here to seize back our rights from the government. With a cigar in one hand and a copy of the Declaration of Independence in the other, he's Sean Thompson. And this is the Sean Thompson Show.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag. Ooh, they're red, white, and blue.
The billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars we save every day is just one of the benefits of having somebody who wasn't cultivated through corruption in the White House. The other is, in the real economy, the private economy, it is a boom town. Talk about markets. And it's only going to get better as we stand on the precipice of new innovations, the likes of which we can't even imagine. And yet, in Democrat areas, it's always 7-day rain, which is why you stay away from them. You definitely don't vote for them. My next guest exhibits all of the qualities of understanding how and when to get the hell out of Democrat areas, as he did it right before me. Scott, the cow guy, Shellady, sexy as ever. How are you?
I'm good, brother. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Well, I'm mad because, I was going to drive by and see what you were doing, but you know me. I got to beat the clock, the invisible clock of making good time. I'm a lunatic. I drove straight through. And going through Illinois, I jump on 57. I don't want to go next to Chicago, so I stay off of the Ghetto 500 there by the Eisenhower. I don't want to even go near it. So Going through Illinois, I almost took a right because on 57 you could go to Cairo, whatever. Yep. That town that used to be a hub. It's completely abandoned. And you look at what's happened to these great areas, man. Whew. It is a cancer of corruption that has destroyed the entire states. And that's how it always is, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I've driven through that many a times because I go to speaking engagements in Nebraska and Iowa a lot, and that's the route that we have to take. And it's actually very sad.
Yes.
And you can't believe you're I think my first inclination was, is this the Cairo that I know about? Because you can't believe it to be the case, but it is the case, and it is sad. And but you know what? It's both sad, but it's not surprising.
Well, it's the same thing that's happened wherever this philosophy of socialism and communism, and it's almost refreshing, at least, with that simpleton who lived with his mother and father before he became the mayor in New York, to show you, listen, we're going to call it socialism, but we're stealing your franken property, all right? We're going to steal, and granted, the government in New York City owns more property than any single owner, and there are more complaints, and there's more chaos, and more delinquencies and repairs, but we're going to use this opportunity to steal property. That's the refreshing part. At least in 2026, they don't pretend to be Democrats or a political party, anything other than communists.
I think he's a lot smarter than he's letting on to believe, but that is an absolute, I used it on my show today too. And to say, he said, I think something along the lines of, look what's happened under no regulation. Now we're going to get government involved and they're going to fix everything. I can't imagine saying anything as stupid as that. And you're right. The city owns more than anybody else. And he doesn't put any qualifiers on anything. The people that break the law, what law do they break? How many times do they have to break it? What's the fine? I mean, and then, by the way, at the same time, he's upping minimum wage so the people that do own buildings aren't going to be able to have them serviced anymore. They can't have them fixed or cleaned anymore because the minimum wage is going to be $40 an hour.
But it spurs the people who are now faced with the reality. Are you going to be John Galt? Are you going to stick up for yourself and your own success? Are you recognizing that you cannot coexist with communism any more today than you could 100 years ago? I personally think you couldn't have scripted the totalitarian fascism on top of failed Democrat policies any better than New York. Chicago's a close second, though.
Well, I mean, the problem is that the people that can move are going to move. They're the ones with all the money. The poor folks that don't have a lot of capital to move, they got to stay there. They're the ones that take the brunt. And what's going to happen? It's already happening in New Jersey and New York and parts of Illinois and in California. The capital that leaves is leaving behind the people that can ill afford to pay for all these things, and they're going to have to raise taxes on them all because they're losing all the people that pay all the tax.
Well, this is the serfdom that we were told. I used to say we're in the cul-de-sac. This is it. Your destination reached. especially in the areas that double down and continue to, they say elect, but let's just call it what it is, continue to pretend that Democrats can reside over anything other than failure, ghettonomics, and corruption. This is that clear. So, I think this should be the mantra of the people who do not want to have ghettonomics affect their quality of life. If you want to live low, if you want to live in areas where your grandfather would laugh at you, then congratulations, continue to vote Democrat. You deserve it. The rest of us don't.
Well, I mean, wouldn't you like to ask Grok or Claude or ChatGPT what the out-migration is from Democratic states to in-migration of Republican ones? I mean, I think that'd be a pretty easy question to answer, and maybe I'm sure they're skewed already. There's some sort of bias in there. But, I mean, all you have to do is look at the numbers, and I don't understand how guys like Pritzker and Johnson can't look at the numbers and go, what we're doing is not working. We need to change course. They're not going to do that, and it's absolutely suicidal.
Brother, I mean, you and I, worked our asses off. I know how hard you worked, and I know what you've done and what you've contributed to society. At least I have a window into it. I also am guessing you probably haven't blown $6,500 on a Brioni suit. But then again, you paid the water bill for your family. When you see the Wildings be pulled over, they just had one on the news. The guy lifts his arms up. He's got the Gucci belt on, the Louis Vuitton bags. The difference is we have allowed this idea that you could turn a blind eye to not just welfare and subsidies and corruption, but to criminality and pretend it's civilized, it's living. You can't anymore. I say roll with it. Just figure out, and we've got the perfect guy, to stop financing it from decent people. Because once you cut them off economically, now you really are going to get what you deserve, because they've been running financial frauds and scams and stealing money from Springfield to Chicago, and it's normal to them.
Yeah, and it's going to come home to roost. It definitely is. I mean, look, it's not an emotional problem anymore. It's not emotional at all. It's 100% down to the numbers, and the numbers they're going to bear fruit, and they're going to be the ones that bear the truth. You won't be able to tax people back to prosperity. The people that have the money for taxes are leaving, and you're going to be in one heck of a problem, because there's going to be no cash, and you got a lot of issues.
Well, one of the funny things too is when you drive through the country, you really start to see it in a very, very different light. And the minute you get out of these Democrat areas, and I go to this place called Martin's Barbecue in Alabama. All right?
Yeah.
It's absolutely there, yeah. Right, and it's called Vestavia Hills, where this place is. It is awesome. I would move there tomorrow. And you want to know something? They try to attack any kind of recognition of the financial crimes and skullduggery as racism. And everybody's afraid. Oh, they're going to think you're a racist. Listen to me. I know what the makeup is of this area in Alabama where I would buy a house tomorrow. And you want to know what I see there? I don't care what color somebody is. It's the character of righteousness, the character of Americanism. I dropped something out of my car, a couple walking by. Guy goes, or the lady goes, "Sir, you dropped something out of your car." I said, look back. I said, "Oh, well, thank you for telling me that." She goes, "Well, we're friendly here," because my car's got Florida plates. She goes, we're friendly here, and we figure you're driving through. I said, "Yeah, I'm coming from Chicago." And in Chicago, they would have not only stolen that item, not said anything. I probably would have ended up tied to a tree with my underwear in my mouth. And they started laughing. They said, no. We're far more civilized down here. And do you want to know something, Scott? They were not the blue-eyed white devils. They were just people of good character. And it was so refreshing to see how positive, how just upstanding everybody was the minute you got out of Illinois. It's really something that I don't think people who never leave there understand. The rest of the country is thriving, not just because the market's setting records, but the character of their fellow citizen is better.
It is, well, yeah, and I think that goes a long way to. They always are trying to put people in boxes and label them, right? And that's how the Democrats are. They love the labels of everybody in the box, and people for some reason flock to that. They get comfortable. But when I stand in line at Starbucks, and I'm seventh in line, I just think I'm seventh in line. That's the way it is, man. But when a Democrat stands in line at Starbucks and they're seventh in line, they're like, "Oh, look, there's a gay guy, a black guy, a lesbian, a Jewish guy."
It's amazing.
They're labeling everybody up and down the line. I'm like, I don't care, and that's how it should be. Who cares? But for some reason, they have to bring it to the forefront and make you care about it, when initially you wouldn't have thought twice.
And there's only the answer doesn't have anything to do with anybody's opinions or judgments or isms other than success versus failure. Simple.
Yes. Merit.
Simple.
Merit.
The whole thing is simple. And to see the way in which we're being lectured to by some bust-out who couldn't pay the water bill for his family but now has a $6,500 suit on, tell me how to talk about the destruction of my city and not recognize the economic destruction to everybody, as you saw, as I saw, those wildings destroying private property. Do you think when they were stomping on cars that people bust their ass for, breaking the windshields, destroying, they gave a rip if that was a black guy's car, a white guy's car, a Puerto Rican's car, or that it was just somebody else's car? When you see the destruction, how low they accepted it, NBC News ran it. Well, here, did you hear the cut of NBC News and how they talked about what we saw run through Chicago? Did you see it at all?
They got a lot of bad press down here, Chicago, and those what I don't even call the team takeovers. They got a lot of bad press down here. It was on all the major news networks on the weekend for sure. Yeah.
So listen to this, because you got to play it on your show for the people who don't understand how the destruction of a city is cheered on by what is called media.
It's great to be with you. Thank you so much for joining us at 6 o'clock. Good evening. I'm Stephen Holt.
I'm Allison Rosati. We're coming off a Memorial holiday weekend with a statistic Chicago has not seen in years. 0 homicides recorded. That's according to Chicago police.
Some encouraging statistics there, but there is still a concerning trend as we head into the summer. There were 2 teen takeovers over the holiday weekend, and one of
0 deaths, which is a lie. 1 person died, but 39 were shot. And the tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars of destruction of property under these so-called teen takeovers. And still you're going to be lectured to by a political whore of what to call it. It's insanity. It's third world. It's ghetto living. So I figured we'd come up with a new term. I call it ghetto pageantry. Pick your winner. After all, you're paying $33,000 a head for school. Let's call it a pageant. That's a ghetto pageant from now on. Don't you think that should smooth over any hard feelings?
I mean, I'm in media now. I sit in front of a camera. If those people, when they read that stuff, have to say to themselves, they have to cringe on the inside. There's no way you could not. I mean, you have to cringe. And you know what? I mean, isn't that amazing? There was a funnier Babylon Bee over the weekend saying, everybody died in Chicago this weekend from being shot. I mean, it was like totally true. I mean, look, I'm shocked at the behavior and how he's turning the other cheek. I can't believe it. I can't believe there's no consequence, but I can at the same time. There's nothing. They're not going to stop. And by the way, I mean, what is he putting forward to kind of round this up? Is he standing down the cops?
Oh, it's a 5-year plan. It's like the Soviets. We got a 5-year plan. And what we need is to turn a blind eye to right now. Right now, there's $50 million that has gone in the wind, I think, in the last couple of months to violence interference groups. Boy, you guys aren't worth the money, huh? And it's just one scam after the next scam.
Can you imagine if they gave us $50 million to stop that? We'd do it, and we'd spend $1 million to stop it and keep 49 amongst ourselves. I mean, that's all it would take. I mean,
I'll get a couple of the Hirsch rats from Melrose Park. You get them for about $2,000. Right. They'll straighten it out right away.
Right. I mean, how much money? $50 million? Are you kidding me? I'll do it for 45. All right. I'll just let them know. They can save $5 million. But it's insane.
It was Jeff Fort that got the first $1 million for another scam, right? Wasn't it him? Am I saying his name right? That's a stepbrother of what's his name? They pay the gangbangers to pretend you're not gangbangers anymore. Love that.
Well, that's the Southern Poverty Law Center too. I mean, unbelievable. I mean, nothing shocks me anymore. But this is crazy to think that it's going to be whose fault is it when we let this happen? I mean, they just never want to take accountability for anything. It's always somebody else's fault. I can't stand it. Nobody stands up and holds their hand and says, the buck stops here. And that's going to be a problem. I think that's going to be their ultimate downfall, because at some point in time between now and when I die, and hopefully that's 20, 25 years, I think that you're going to see a lot of people move to the southeast and the southwest, or Arizona, New Mexico. And I think that you'll see all those northern states just start to really crumble, because I don't know what they're going to do to keep people to stick around.
Well, they're crumbling in it. Now it's just about who's going to finance it all. And this is the other aspect I love. And it starts with, if you're going to continue to spend everybody's money for illegals, we're not going to send you money. And quietly, some of the changes both J.D. Vance and Trump have made, I think is really going to be just the beginning. I mean, after all, we still have 3 years left. And it's only going to get better if you can just stop the steal. And make people understand that $50 million that Chicagoans spent, it's gone. It's in the wind. They don't have the $50 million. They're borrowing it from the future, from corrupt banksters, and they're hoping that Springfield bails it out. And there's a movement. I interviewed a couple of people about this secession movement in just Illinois, people that don't move or can't move, how they want to secede. And I think Trump is going to give way to and start to understand these counties in bad states that are voting for secession. Donald Trump could rewrite the American map by redesigning the way the state maps operate. I think he needs to move forward with this before the midterms, because I don't know if you saw it on CNN. His popularity is actually growing, much to not just chagrin the lies that is coming out of the left media. I say keep your foot on the gas.
I think I'm not as worried about high gas prices as it was. I still think it's a problem. He needs to see those things come down. But as long as we see him going in the right direction, I think he's got a lot of things going his way. Obviously, the stock market, but that's going to be only good for the upper 20 to 30% of incomes. But I also do think that he has gotten a lot of people on his side, especially like the guys I know in England. There's a big faction of people that love Trump in England, and they're probably going to get that Nigel Farage in as a prime minister in the next couple of years. That because he's just like Trump, because they're standing up to the ridiculousness of it all. And so, where does one begin? I mean, you're going to see, Sean, at some point in time, the destruction of New York, New Jersey, Illinois, Michigan, Minnesota, California, Oregon, Washington, all those liberal places. They will not be able to stand on their own anymore. And you're right. They're going to try to tax the country for it. But there's people that are going to be getting angry. I mean, I still can't believe that they let all those illegal immigrants come to those cities and said, we're going to use your tax dollars to let these people stay here. Now, I'm sure I told you the story, but it's worth mentioning again. When I was young behind the ears, 1989, never been out of the country. I go to London for my job to trade on the floors there in the financial capital of the world. And I get to the passport control, Sean, and the guy stamps my passport. He says, okay, son, where are you staying? And I told him, he says, all right, when you find a permanent residency, you need to go to your local police station to register as a foreigner. I said, okay. And I walk away. He goes, come back here, son. So I came back. He said, do you know why I did that? I said, no, I'm just trying to be agreeable, sir. I don't want to get any trouble. I'm just a young kid. He said, I'm doing that because we don't want people like you coming in to our country and taking something out of a system that you didn't put anything into. Bottom line. I'll never forget that.
He was rabid anti-Dutch. And here's the other thing. To quote the most underrated and my favorite actor in Rocky 3, there is no tomorrow, Rock. The destruction is now. This is real life, real time. You could have these morons like Ellison Rosati, which, by the way, I think she's lobbying to start shopping with you. If you haven't seen her, salad is the one word that comes to mind.
By now, I think my underwear might be tied on her.
Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. But when you look at the way in which they're trying to sell this, and in the same vein, they have to report these massive buildings in the Loop are losing 75, 84%.
I've seen it. Yeah.
The real collapse is now. It's just they haven't figured out how to stop the funding of it from all the strangers throughout Illinois, but more importantly, throughout the country. And Trump did by using the very thing you said. If you cannot understand, you do not spend billions of dollars on people who came here under a criminal act to promote future criminal acts, then we're just going to not endorse you. We're going to not refund you, because the whole thing works on a scheme where they spend money they don't have and hope that the federal government reimburse them. The reimbursements are done. Did we catch you stealing? Now there is no soup for you. This is only the beginning. I think they're playing nice because of this midterm bull dung. I say shut the spigot off now and really see the separation. Because when you talked about gas and the cost of it, the minute you pop out of Illinois, it drops $1.10. $1.10 the minute you drop out. And if you go in Chicago, they're still paying over $5. Indiana, it's $3.80. couldn't believe how low it got. The further south I got, the lower the gas prices were. So understand, these are Pritzker taxes. Has nothing to do with Trump. Those are Pritzker Democrat rat taxes because they extort every level of distribution of energy, and they always will.
Well, they've got a limited timeline, and they're not going to change, so that's good. Unfortunately, there's going to be some collateral damage, and it's the poor folks that live there and can't leave.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely undeniable. And that's what you need, right? We're talking to people who keep pretending that they're running some sort of a functioning government versus a financial crime. And these are financial.
Yeah, horrible.
You know, and you look at the taxes. Really, it's criminal. You tax every level of production of energy, and then you give monopolies to corrupt companies like ComEd who get caught working scams with the big, powerful Democrats, and nothing happens. Trump's just the guy you need. You break apart the states from inside. Let the 33 counties go in Illinois. Let the 16 counties in Oregon, the rest in California. Rewrite the American map and shrink the power control over the Democrat mafia. Because if you think you're going to do it through fixing gerrymandering, they love to steal it. They've been stealing it for half a century. Fix it by changing the American map. It's never been done. Yeah. It's about time.
Well, once we get gas prices going in the right direction, they don't have to go back to where they were. We just people need to see progress. That's going to go a long way. Number one. Number two is I think a lot of those maps really are going to favor the Republicans by 17 versus 6 for the Democrats. So that's a net 11 member swing if we get it. So that'd be 22 total swing. I think that because the Democrats are just so incompetent, they're not going to be able to put together a message and not to be able to put together something for the midterms, that Trump's going to have done something very good with the Middle East. He's taken a bad actor off the stage. He's got oil prices going back down. We're going to be hitting all-time record highs in the stock market, and the gerrymandering thing is going to come around and bite the Democrats in the you-know-what. I think he's got a much better chance than people think.
So I'm driving back for the golf outing, but I'll be driving more and more because I like it. I really do. And one of these days I'm going to take a turn by you, but I'm going to bet. I got to bet like the old days. We don't have to go to a strip joint like the old days, but we're just going to bet. I bet you dinner, Republicans, big win. I'm taking big win by the Republicans in the midterm. Would you like the field?
No, I'm more with you, but I'll take the field just for the bet and see what happens.
Yeah, just because you want to see who quivers when the check comes. I like the way you think there, Shellady. RFD, we'll RFD TV every day. Scott the Cow Guy or Cow Guy Clothes. Thank you so much for making time for me, brother.